for peanut butter patty? Love you. Hello, everybody. Willie Maya from Jazz Edge. Want to welcome you to Standards by the Dozen Gems. Okay, so I want to also say hello to everyone who's watching on Facebook or YouTube. So hello, everybody, and everyone on Zoom. Hello, thank you for joining me. Okay, so what is Standards by the Dozen Gems? This is some advanced ideas and different tips and tricks and whatnot that you can add to your arrangements. This is stuff that I will do in my own playing. So it's just designed to give you just a little bit extra, okay? So now, like I said before, this is more intermediate to advanced level. So if you're more of a beginner, go ahead and take a listen to it. You know, you're more than welcome to listen to this stuff and try some of the ideas. But if you're getting frustrated with some of these ideas and trying to implement them, then just leave them off right now. It's absolutely fine, okay? All right, so this is a relaxed atmosphere as well, so feel free to ask your questions. You can go ahead and chat in your questions if you're on YouTube or Facebook, or you can chat in your questions if you're on Zoom, and I will leave time at the end for specific questions, all right? Also, you should know the sheet music that I'm going to show on the screen is available for members. Just log in at Jazz Edge, go to the Standards by the Dozen course, and the sheet music will be there. It's going to be there a little bit later on today after the session is done, okay? But you will find it there, along with a new iReal Pro backing track. Okay, so let me play for you, first of all, this tag ending. This is what I'm going to show you today. So when we go to, let me actually show you this before we do this. All right, so here's our lead sheet for Days of Wine and Roses, right? So we have... I could just get, okay, right there. So let me get right over here. Okay, turn on my mouse there. Okay, so so this is the second time through the head. Measure 21. Measure 25. Measure 29. Right? And that's typically how you would end it. You would end it right there. You play the G minor C if you're going back to the beginning of the song. Right? And then you go back into the beginning of the song. So typically you would end it right here. It's a 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 chord progression, and then call it a day. Okay, so now what we're doing differently is we are adding on some extra bars here. So we're adding on measures, and what we're doing is we're doing what's called a tag. So we are repeating some of the measures, okay? Specifically, we're repeating this right here, the A, D, G to C. So we're repeating those two measures, but with a twist, which you're going to hear in just a second. All right, so I'm going to play it from... excuse me. My goodness. I had a sneeze. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to play it again from measure 25. Okay, so I'm going to play from measure 25, and then this is where measure 29 picks up right here. So now this. Okay, I'm going to show you all of that. Okay, so this is really neat. Let's break this down. I'm going to break it down measure by measure for you. So the first of all, you'll see this is measure 29, right? So okay, so let's just focus on these two measures right here. This is your typical 3, 6, 2, 5, right? Just like we have at the end of Days of Wine and Roses. Had like a brain freeze for a second. All right, so right here, measure 29, that right there is the same thing as this right here. Nothing really changes except for this right here, and this is really like a C7, and I'm putting the B flat in the bass, okay? So it's G minor. You see when I had the C7 with the B flat in the bass, put the B flat down there, I come up about an interval of a sixth, and I play a chord tone there, so I get the fifth, okay? And then I repeat this again, A minor. Now here, we would typically think, go back to G minor to C, but we don't do that. Instead, we go up to a sharp 4 minor 7 flat 5 chord. Whew, that's a mouthful. Sharp 4 minor 7 flat 5, right? That's what's going on right here. So we do the A, D, G, A, D, B minor 7 flat 5, E7, then A, D, G to F. Okay? So what we're doing here is we're adding in this, we're going up a step, right? And we're replacing the G and the C with this B minor 7 flat 5, E7 flat 9 chord change, right? It's a really, really cool sound. I love it. I think this works great on a lot of these nice medium tempo swing tunes to do this, right? So it goes from there, then we go to here. The G, then to the F, and it's all those quarter notes triplets. So, and I'll break that down in just 1 second for you until finally we hit that C7 augmented, then G flat 7, or a sharp 11 actually, and into an F major 7. I should have put a sharp 11 in there for the G flat 7. All right, but let's go back here. Let's kind of decipher this a little bit more. So what I could do is at the end of the song, okay, this right here, I could literally just say, hey, you know what? Let me just take this section right here, and let me just keep repeating that section over and over. So I could do from measure 25, so that's a very, very typical jazz ending. Take the last two measures there, that 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 progression, repeat it 3 times, boom, done, call it a day, okay? And that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what we're doing instead is rather than just simply repeating it 3 times, do it the first time, the B minor 7 flat 5, So the second time that we repeat it, we don't go to the G and the C. Instead, we go up to the sharp 4, and then the E7, and then bring it right back down. Okay, so let's talk about a couple. Actually, you know what? Before I talk about that, I'm going to go and I want to show you the rest of that ending. All right, so just to print it on the video for you so that when you look back at it, you can get it. Let me just play it nice and slowly for you, and then you can get it off of the video. Now, let me focus on the last 3 measures here. So let's do it from this measure right here with the quarter note triplets. Now, what's happening here, it's actually a lot simpler than it looks. Stopping on the F here at the beginning of the measure, and then I'm coming up to the B minor 7, flat 5, right? Flat 5 right there. And it's just coming down, all the way down to my G minor. And then really all that's going on here is in the left hand, I'm playing root 7, and the right hand plays the 3rd, and I'm going to hold that F out. I didn't write it like that because it's kind of a pain to write in all of those ties, and it would make it look messy. So just know you can hold the F out. If you don't want to, really don't matter. But and then I go to a C7, sharp 5 there, also a sharp 9 in there as well. And then G flat 7 with a sharp 11, and then to my F major 7. And I can just kind of arpeggiate that. So all together, it sounds like this. And then if you want, you can just hit Fs in a nice octave like that, give it a nice tight button ending. Now, in here, this is really like a retard in here at the end, so you could really kind of play around with that. And so you can play around with, you know, what you do with these notes at the very end here. You don't have to play it exactly as, you know, as written like that. Also, the other challenge is when we do it along with the iReal Pro track, let me put that on for you. You could see that there's a few extra measures at the end of the iReal Pro track down here. Okay, this is your tag right down in here. All right, so let me start from here. I'm just going to play it out. The problem is iReal Pro doesn't really like retard or slow down with you. So you just got to understand you're going to play it in time when playing with the iReal Pro track. Here we go. That's the whole thing right there. All right, so now, like I said, I'm going to leave time for questions. So if you have questions on all of this, don't worry, we're going to have plenty of time. I'll answer all of these questions for you. Now, what I want to talk about next is, all right, so you can kind of understand, hopefully, what's going on here. This is your 3-6-2-5, right? Then we do 3-6 again. Rather than doing the 2-5, we jump up to the sharp 4 minor 7 flat 5. Then we come back down, 3-6-2-5, and then here, so one chord scoots up to the sharp 4 minor 7 flat 5, comes down in quarter note triplets, right? All minor chords until finally, then it goes to the 5 chord. This is a sub 5 or a tritone substitution that then goes to F. C augmented 7th, and then G flat 7 sharp 11, and it's really kind of the same chords. and then I come down to my F major 7. And then doing this, just, you know, it's a nice little arpeggio there. It's a nice way of kind of ending it so it doesn't just sound like, right? That sounds a little bit odd. So sometimes it's nice just to kind of roll that chord a little bit. All right, so that's the basic ending now. So now how can we spice it up even more? All right, the first thing is I would do this. Go from B flat minor, a B minor 7 flat 5, then to a B flat minor 6. So listen to that sound. Isn't that a gorgeous sound? Like, I'll take it right from here, right from the A minor 7 here. Okay. So that's one thing that you could do. You can also play around with, you know, rather than doing C7 over B flat, well, what about doing tritone substitutions there? What about hitting maybe a B flat 7 before you get to the A minor? Now, one thing I did there at the this next section right here, okay, right in here, I did. The kind of like this A flat major kind of sound in here rather than going to D minor. Sorry. I can also change the melody around here. Rather than going to a C, go to an E instead. Now, this also in here, if this is a little bit too fast for you, you could then just play that more rubato, right? Right? So nothing says that you have to do it like that fast. You could play that much slower. You could even play around with like really accentuating that. You'll also notice how I changed the sevenths over here in the left hand a little bit. So F, B minor 7 flat 5 to a B flat minor 6. So notice I took the 7th off of there. Then to an A minor 7 to an A flat minor 6. Took the 7th off of there. Then G minor 7. C7, sharp 9, sharp 9, sharp 5. So why did I soften the B flat and the A flat with the 6th? Because that note is solidly outside of the key of F. That note is solidly outside of the key of F. So this kind of brings it more into the sound of F major. Makes it sound a little sweeter, a little bit softer, especially if I want to do that rubato. Okay. So, all right. Now, you can also try playing around with, you know, the tritone substitution you could do in other places within the song as well. Okay, so if I show you that just real quick, and I'll get to your questions. So let me just show you from the top of the tune. I'm just going to give you kind of some some other little gems that you can think about on this. I don't have sheet music for this. It's just ideas. You can try playing around with it. Watch the video again. You can get it from there, and I'll slow it down and show you what I'm doing. The first thing I'm thinking is, what about preceding the E flat 7 when it's related to the B flat minor? That's kind of an interesting sound. So B flat minor 6, right? It's kind of cool because you get the major 7th in there, then E flat 7, then your A minor 7. Now, here, when you're playing these chords like the D7 flat 9, adding in some of those upper structure triads is a real sweet sound. That's a great one right there. Root 3 7 for D7, flat 9, sharp 11, and then your flat 7th up here. But in reality, it's really what? It's an A flat major triad. So just think major triad built on the flat 5 or sharp 4, right? And you get that. If you wanted to, you could also add in that flat 13 as well. Real nice sound. You could always double the 3rd if you wanted to. Add in the flat 13 as well. So I already showed you this in the lesson. You could do this walk up. See that? Walking up, G minor, A flat, A, B flat. This is another nice thing. See how I did a resolution here? I did a sus. And then, so start with E flat sus, then resolve it. I was thinking here, it'd be kind of neat. You could go G minor 7, then G minor 7 over F. So especially if you're playing more legato, rubato like that, that would sound nice. If you're playing more rootless chords, you're really not going to hear any difference because you're not going to be playing the root. So, but if you're playing, you know, solo piano style, G minor with F in the bass, A7 flat 9, sharp 11 in there. So that right there, G minor, F over A or A minor, however you want to think about it. But then B flat minor 6, C7. I just repeated that first part of that. You could also probably get away with a, let's see if we could do an E flat 7 there. So you could get away with an E flat 7 here, but you got to be careful because that E natural brings in the flat 9. It's a little tense, but if you're moving it along, you can hear. It's okay, but if you are playing rubato, right? One thing I love to do on those dominant chords, get that sharp 11 in there. It's a great sound. So like, let's move on. F, E, E flat. The other thing you could try doing as well is when you get to these 2 5s, put the 5 underneath the 2. So F, see how I'm pedaling that D. And then you go at B flat 7 there with a sharp 11 rather than the E7 altered. All right, so that gives you a bunch of little ideas that you can try messing around with, and just, you know, some stuff to elevate, okay, your playing. Now, the reason I'm doing this lesson, you know, the way that I'm doing it is that this is like kind of like typical jazz, you know, like if like when I was at Berkeley, that's the kind of lesson that I would have. Teacher Dean Earl, you know, or Paul Schmeling or Bob Winter or any of the cats who I used to study with, you know, they would show Ray Santisi, another great teacher I had. You know, they just play stuff and they're kind of explaining it to you. It was never like, okay, here it's all written out for you. You know, you like kind of had to figure it out on your own. So I'm kind of giving you a little bit of that as well. Now, obviously, in the course, all of that. All the course material is all laid out, sheet music, all that. We did it in the lesson. It was 4 hours in the lesson. We had the Q&A session. So just understand that this is kind of like an added. This is a bonus. So again, you know, I know I've said it a bunch. I'm not going to keep saying it in all of these GEMS lessons. But since this is the first one, I just want to make sure you understand. If you don't fully get it, it's okay. All right, you don't have to fully grasp all of this stuff. I'm kind of moving along kind of quick. The idea is that more intermediate, advanced level players are going to go back. They're going to watch the replay of the video, and they're also going to download the sheet music that I do have provided for this. All of this stuff that I wrote out here, okay, this right here is all available in sheet music form that you can go ahead and you can download as a member of the site. All right, so questions. Let's see what questions we have. Thank you very much, Amir. I appreciate that. Hello, Hiram. Hello, Jose on Facebook, YouTube, you guys. All right, let's check out over here. Stop. Oh, can you hear that? Me dragging my feet? Boy, this mic is a lot more sensitive than I thought. That's funny. Yeah. So it's winter time here. So I took my winter shoes off and I have my slippers on. So on a hardwood floor, yes, you could probably hear that. Okay, so can you share which scales you're using in your runs and why? All right, so did I necessarily went back on your video? Lots of shuffling. Hello. All right, yeah. I will take my slippers off right now. All right. Okay, so explaining all the scales that I'm using and why. That's like that right there. We could go on for hours with that, obviously. But let's kind of talk about what I was just doing there. Okay, so like that walk up from the G minor to the F over A, B flat minor 6, C sus. I'm really thinking all F major scale up until I get to that B flat minor 6, and I'm going to be bringing in. I'm thinking here like literally like B flat, you know, B flat minor. Okay, so this is B flat Dorian versus B flat natural minor. Okay. I could also think of this as B flat minor major and keep that major sound in there. So pay attention to the black notes that I'm playing, because if it's all white notes, you know that it's going to be F except for the B flat. So look for all the times that I'm not playing a B flat. Right, there's your flat 3 for the B flat minor 6. All right, these notes right here, all off of B flat minor. Okay. altered scale. Right, so all off of that altered scale, that C altered scale. Lydian flat 7. Right, and this, I'm just thinking this really kind of like you could think of it as like A Phrygian. Here, the D7. You could think of this as your half whole diminished. That's one scale you could use. You could use your altered scale in there. And those are 2 scale choices that you have there. The other nice thing is, and on the G flat major 7th, sharp 11, right there. Gives you kind of a neat modern sound as well. That G flat major 7th, literally just playing a Lydian scale. It's a G flat major scale with a sharp 11. You could kind of switch it into like kind of a samba kind of feel. So hopefully that gives you some extra scales there to think about, Shonda. Bruce, could you use the same progression 3-6-2-5 for the intro? Yeah, sure. In fact, you could even start it with. Now, that's not the strongest of intros, right? Because you didn't resolve to the 1, you know, and you kind of just jumped right into it. But what you could do is something like this. So what I did was I started A minor, D, G, A minor, D minor, G minor, A minor, D minor, G minor, F, G minor, C. Top of the song. Right, so you can kind of play around with that. Oh, sorry, I put my slippers back on. It's cold over here, people. It's cold. If I had my boots on, you'd hear me stomping with my boots. So maybe the slippers are a little bit better. But anyway, thanks, Bruce. Good stuff for my inspirational journal. All right, so let's see. Was there any? Okay, so other questions. All right, Rick. In part 1. Oh, I'm sorry, Rick. You did ask that before. All right, I skipped over that. Okay, so in part 1, let me go back here. in part 1, which 2 chords do you add if I wanted to see if I could apply it to another song? Okay, all right. So these 4 chords right there are literally measure 29 and 30 right from the song. So let's just, whoops, wrong one. Pull, shut that down. There we go. So right here, measure 29 and 30 is literally these 2 right here. Okay, so this is exactly what's already in the song. Then I repeat this again, but then rather than playing the G minor 7 to C7, I go up to B minor 7, flat 5 to E7. So it's up to the sharp 4, right? Then I come back down to A minor, D minor, G, C, okay? So basically I'm taking this, playing that, then doing something different, then coming back to this, and then ending it, all right? Yeah, you could absolutely do this in, in other tunes as well. I'm trying to think of a good one that would be. So it's very clear our love is here to stay. All right, so you could do that right there. Let me get the melody again. So it's in the key of F, and then we go D minor to D7. Right, or like whatever you want to do, but and then it ends out with A, D, G, C, F. So you could go A, D, G, A, D, B. Like you could hit up like a B7 because like that melody note right there doesn't really fit so well in the B7, B minor 7 flat 5. So you change it to like a B7 instead, and then a B flat, and then. So you could definitely use that technique in other tunes. Sometimes what you need to do is you just need to do a little bit of a tweak, right? So sometimes there's a little tweak that you have to add in order to make it work. That's if you're trying to do it along with the melody. So like in this case with the right? So as I'm trying to do this along with the melody hitting on C, A, right? The B minor 7 flat 5 ain't gonna sound good, but a B7 with a flat 9 there, I can make that work. And there's that same ending that I just added right to the end of Our Love Is Here to Stay. So that's just a quick example of how, yeah, you could definitely take this stuff and apply it to other tunes. Now, which songs can you apply it to and how do you make it work and make it fit and all that? That's the training. That's what you do, all right? You take this idea and then you try and put it into other places and see if you can make it work, right? You try it on your own. If you get stuck, then you hit me up in office hours. You could talk about it in coaching on Tuesdays. Thursday, the Confident Improviser, those Fridays that we're doing the Q&A sessions for Standards by the Dozen, any of those sessions, join me and then just say, hey, look, I'm trying to add this here. It's not working for me. What do I do? I'll be happy to help you.
I'll work on the first one first.
Yeah,
thanks. That's good.
Start with that one. Start with that one first. Like as you get comfortable with it and you understand it, it's going to be a lot easier than to start to apply it to other tunes. And then remember too, you're also going to have this new iReal Pro track to kind of play along with. And again, I apologize, but there's not really much I can do about it. Like it's going to be in time, right? So this section right here, you guys are going to have to blast right through it. You know, you're not going to be able to do rubato and then also play with the iReal Pro track. But it gives you a start. And then for those of you who are tech savvy and want to, like, you know, do your own backing track, you can do that as well, right? So you can play around with that. Other questions? Anybody else? Now is the time to ask. I'm going to load something up here quick. It usually helps. Let's see. We might be able to do this over. See if we can add this idea on a couple of other tunes. All right. Let's take Foggy Day. Yikes, that was weird. Okay. Let's do this. All right, so this is a foggy day. Okay, so I'm just going to try playing just the very end here. And you see what happens. Does that look familiar to you guys at all? That A, D, G, C, right? This looks kind of familiar, right? Works perfectly, right? So let me slow it down for you. So F, G minor. Bear in mind, I'm playing tenths down here. I know a lot of you can't play those. You know, I won't play the tenths. Let's do this. A minor, D minor, G minor, C7, A minor, D minor, B minor 7 flat 5, B flat minor 6. It's kind of cool with the ninth in there. And then A minor, D minor, G minor, C7, G flat major 7, sharp 11. So. Now, another question you might have is, what about if I just want to keep doing A to D to G to C, and I don't want to go A, D, G, C, then A, D, B, B flat, or B, E, whatever. I don't want to do that change like right away. You don't have to do that right away. So I could go, G, C, A. G, F, or G, C. So you see how I can wait and I can bring that idea in later. But here's the rub. As soon as you go to the B, the E, the sharp 4, then the next thing that you're going to want to do after that is the 3, 6, 2, 5. So you're not going to want to do this. You're not going to want to go A, D, G, C, A, D, B, B flat, A, D, G, C, A, D, G, C, A, D, B, E, A, D, G, C, A, D. It's like, because the ear, as soon as you do that, you want to then hear it end. A. Right? You're like, as soon as you hear that change going up to the sharp 4, the ear then wants to hear the 3, 6, 2, 5 to the ending. Right? Not to say, of course, I mean, you can make anything work, right? But I'm just saying, like, typically, if you're looking for something that's going to sound kind of tried and true, well, then after you hit that sharp 4, then it's probably time to wrap things up and call it a day on the tune, right? But you can see here's another tune that you can take that exact same concept and apply that to. Now, what about doing something like, you know, one of the tunes that we do a lot on the site, right? Let's see if I can find this real quick here. Bear with me for a second. You know, even doing something as crazy as, this is going to be crazy, 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 crazy. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so we have our My Romance, right? And then we come to the end of the tune here. Okay, so did the same thing. All right. Now, bear in mind here, I know I am playing tenths down there. I'm not going to change it because I like these tenths down here, right? So I'm going to keep that for right now. But just understand the idea of the harmony that's going on, right? So C minor over F, F7, then B flat, G minor, C minor, F7, D minor 7, G7, C minor, D minor 7, E minor 7 flat 5, E flat minor, then D, D flat 7, C minor. You can go to a B major. And then go to a B flat, all right? You could do B major, or if you want that dominant sound, hit B flat 7. So like I said, this is a little bit more advanced, so I'm just kind of playing through this. But the idea is that you could take this concept and you can apply it and use that tag at the end of just a bunch of tunes. Even tunes that you think that, oh, wait, that wouldn't work, right? Because when we were doing it on Days of Wine and Roses, it's kind of like, you know, like that kind of swing tempo. My Romance is solidly a ballad here, so how's that going to work? Well, it does work. You just kind of take it out of time. Okay, Jude, could you use just one note in harmony for the chromatic ending for speed? Yeah, sure, if you wanted to. So see, I just did the roots there, but obviously now what would be nice is do that. Get the third in the right hand. So okay, so you can take off this top note right here, play the bottom note, and then that note, right? So you get single notes in each line there. I see you there, Gil, trying to see the screen and trying to read that. All right, you will get the music for it, right? So don't worry, the sheet music will be available for this very shortly, so you'll be able to download it. Let's see, who else? Chanda, could you demonstrate half-step modulation for the ending turnaround you did for Days of Wine and Roses? Half-step modulation for the ending turnaround. I'm not following what you're talking about, the half-step modulation for the ending turnaround. We did modulate from F to A flat. Are you talking about that? Or are you talking about, we can go... You could do stuff like that as well, where you go A, D, G. So I can go B flat, E flat, then resolve down to A, D, G. Or were you talking the A flat, G minor, then G flat? If you want a nice classical kind of feel at the end too, hit a diminished chord down a half step. So play a diminished chord starting on E, and then all of the diminished, inversions that go along with that. So check this out. A minor, A flat, G7. Oh, with the sharp 11th, God. You get a real kind of a neat sound there by having that diminished chord in there. And you can really kind of build that up as much as you want. Yeah, if you really want to. To get kind of dramatic with it, you can kind of play around with that kind of stuff and get dramatic with that. Let's see, Michelle, is it experience that tells you what chords to add, for example, the related to, or is it your ears, or is it following theory arrangement rules? It's actually a little bit of all three of those things. I mean, we can never discount the fact that our ears should always be in play, right? I'm trying to think of a good analogy for you. Driving is kind of a good analogy in that, like, when we drive, like, you've driven so much, right, that it's just like, have you ever had the experience in which you've been driving and then, like, you just completely forgot all the stuff that you just saw driving, right? It was like you're so much in the zone that you're not even paying attention to what's around you. You're on autopilot. And that's the same thing when it comes to this kind of stuff. You get onto autopilot. It's like all the experience that you've done it so much. You feel the chords, you've heard them, you understand the theory, right? So you're just kind of like, all of it is kind of gelling at once. Theory is a big part of it. So understanding kind of like theoretically what are some different ideas. The theory is what drives me to try something different, right? So I know that certain theoretical things are going to work, so I try those first, but then, I listen to it, and it's like, oh yeah, like now that gets me thinking about the next thing, right? Because I just now am interacting and reacting to what I just played, but what I just played was based maybe off of theory, right? So you see how I might start with a theoretical idea, and then my ear takes over, right? And then I go back to theory, and then the ear takes over. And then maybe for an ending, it's just like, I've played this so many times, like now my hands just take over. So you can't really pinpoint and say it's that, and that. Yeah, I know you know that, right? You've played long enough, Michelle, to know that wouldn't it be nice if it was just as simple as like, boom, there you go. Okay, you think that, you think that, you think that, you do that, and now you're all done. It would make learning this stuff a lot easier. I will tell you this, though, that when you're learning these concepts, the way that you learn them and the way that you approach learning is going to affect how you learn them, how well you know them, and how easily you're going to be able to pull that idea out, regurgitate it in the moment, right? I'll give you a perfect example on this one. Do you remember when we all went to school? We all went to grade school and high school and college, and they were like, okay, it's mandatory that you have to read this book. It's mandatory that you have to study this. It's mandatory that you need to do that. And how many of us as kids, I'm sure that some of you were much better than I, but how many of us were like, yeah, we did it because we had to do it. But how much were we really invested in it? For instance, like, I didn't really get into history that much when I was in high school. I kind of got into it more in college. I had a really nice history teacher in college. But now I'm like fascinated by it, right? As an adult, because I'm coming to it kind of on like on my own, right? So now it's a lot easier for me to learn something in a historical context and then be able to remember it because I'm coming to it wanting to learn it, right? And I'm coming to it not only wanting to learn it, but then researching like, oh, okay, well, what about this and that, and seeing it from different vantage points. So the more that you do that, the more that you like say, okay, let me take this idea right here. I'm going to learn it. Like Rick said, he's going to do it like this. But now, if you just like, okay, I'm going to do it on Days of Wine and Roses and that's it. All right, well, you're going to be very limited, right? Yes, you'll be able to play it on Days of Wine and Roses, but being able to, attach it to another song is going to be really difficult. But those students and players that are like, okay, I got this idea right here. I bet you I could play this darn idea there. Let me modulate this. Let me move it to another key. Those are the players that it's going to lock in a lot faster for them, and it's also going to lock in a lot stronger for them. Kind of the same thing with your repertoire as well. You learn a tune in one key. If you never try playing it in another key, well, you're missing out on an opportunity there to like really kind of stretch yourself a little bit. So those students that play songs in multiple keys and they really try and understand the harmony and the theory and all of that, then it gets locked in for them a lot better. Right. So, but anyway, the answer to your question is that it's all of that stuff together. All of it kind of happens, in the spur of the moment. And it's kind of magical that way. Let's see. Lloyd, thanks, Jude. Maybe a drop easier for me. Shonda, do you mean triplets? All were excellent. Thank you. Okay, good. Rick, curious at Berkeley, how would you capture these ideas as they played pre-video paper, or did you know enough to shorthand the idea? Oh, that's a great question, Rick. All right, so when I was at Berkeley, there were no cell phones. There was no like video, I mean, literally video would be, okay, go ahead. You want to, I'd be coming in with a huge video camera in order to be able to capture that. So we didn't have any of that kind of stuff. And it wasn't like I could be writing it out. I remember Dean Earl, this, little old guy, right? He played some, he plays something and he look at me like, you dig? And then what am I going to say? I'm like, well, no, Dean, I'm really kind of an idiot. And can you play it 45 more times because I didn't get it? Or are you going to say, yeah, I dig, man. That's good. That's what you say. So then what you do is you leave with the concept, right? And then you're sometimes leaving, okay, I'll see you later. And as soon as the door shuts, you run into the practice room to try and lock it in and kind of work out what it was that was just shown to you. And that is typically the way that most lessons have been taught, even to this day. I know some of you have taken, or maybe even still take lessons with a private teacher. A lot of times it's not video with virtual keyboard and iReal Pro and graphics and all that. Usually not, right? Maybe you might get an audio recording. Maybe there might be a video recording. Maybe there might be a camera overhead. Maybe, right? But typically it's like you get your sheet music, you play it, you go home, you practice it, you come back the next week. So the beauty in the advent of all of this stuff is that, I think in many ways, yes, we're not face to face. However, the benefits that you get out of all this stuff, I think, definitely outweigh the detriments. And, we could, everyone could still play and, perform like we've been doing on coaching. So I think that this is a much superior way of learning the instrument. But yeah, when I was at Berkeley, there was none of that. You just had to memorize it, and you had to remember it right then. And then maybe then you catch the teacher in the hall, you can ask them a question, or they might, show it to you again. And then, you have your staff paper and you write out whatever it is you can as quick as you can. But usually what it is that you're trying to learn, and what at college level, it's usually learning a concept versus, a theory. Right? It's usually learning a concept versus a theory. Right? So, like, if you're trying to learn a concept, you're usually learning a concept versus a theory. Right? So, like, if you're trying to learn a concept, you're usually learning a concept versus a theory. Right? So, like, if you're trying to learn a concept, you're usually learning a concept versus a theory. Right? So, like, if you're trying to learn a concept, you're usually learning a concept versus a theory. Right? So, like, if you're trying to learn a concept, you're usually learning a concept versus a theory. Right? So, like, if you're trying to learn a concept, you're usually learning a concept versus a theory. Right? So, like, if you're trying to learn a concept, you're usually learning a concept versus a theory. Right? So, like, if you're trying to learn a concept, you're usually learning a concept versus a theory. Right? So, like, if you're try you're learning the overview versus learning the minutia, right? So you learn the concept, and then you take that concept and you try working that into your playing. All right, so let me check over here. Any questions? Nice. Do we have certificates in your teaching programs, or you have this will grade us for students? Someone asked on Facebook. There are some quizzes and certificates for some of the confident improviser levels. Jazz Edge is not really a certificate kind of program. If you're looking for that, that's homeschool piano. Once you get to the Jazz Edge level, it's like everybody's kind of going in their own direction. Some students want to do this thing, some students want to do this thing. So it's not like a real graded kind of deal. There are, like I said, some quizzes in the first two levels of the confident improviser, and there are some certificates there. But homeschool piano is where all of that, like each level has a certificate. In Jazz Edge, what you get is you get access to me. So, some of you are on YouTube or you're on Facebook, but then I have a whole nother section of, dozens of students here who are joining me on Zoom. Okay. And those are my students from Jazz Edge. And then that's they can ask questions. And then during our Tuesday coaching or Thursday confident improviser or whatever live sessions we do, they will play or share their playing, and then I'll give feedback on their playing. So that kind of takes the place of this certificate. You get me giving you feedback, and you can ask me questions about, whatever is piano related. All right, so, and then with that question, any other questions before we wrap up? Anyone else? All right, so like I said, what I'm going to be doing to give you an idea of the schedule moving forward, I am going to be doing more of these GEMS lessons. The GEMS lesson is going to come after we do the whole arrangement and lesson and Q&A session for Standards by the Dozen, right? So again, to remind you the way Standards by the Dozen works, it's... let's see here. I'm just curious if I have something here that I can show you. Bear with me for one quick second. Might be in here. Okay, yes. All right, so each month there's a new standard. I've already sent out the list for the standards. Just to tell you guys quickly, this month, February is going to be Autumn Leaves, then Misty. It's obviously the Misty is going to be March, and then everything is going to be a month later. Misty, The Way You Look Tonight, All the Things You Are, My Funny Valentine, Green Dolphin Street, New York State of Mind, Blue Monk, Song for My Father, Almost Like Being in Love, and Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered will be the December one. All right, so those are the next 11 standards that we are going to cover. The way that it works is the first week I'm going to release the music. So next week, probably on Tuesday of next week, and that is, the date of that is February 9th, I will be releasing the sheet music for February standard, which is All the Things You Are. Now, in the sheet music, we cover all of this. We go through the lead sheet, we do shells, we do bass line, we do rootless chords, we do two-handed comping, and then we do improvisation. So I'm going to give you sheet music for all of this, okay, next week for Autumn Leaves. The week after that, all right, so on the 16th, so you have a week to sit with the music, learn it, do the best you can. The week after that, I'm going to do the Autumn Leaves lesson live. It's usually going to take a while. The last one, level 1, took 4 hours, okay? And I think that this one is probably going to take just as long as well. That is a webinar format. So I don't see your video. You just see me. You can ask questions. And what happens is I go through like the lead sheet, here, like this is, you're going to see these slides, right? Then I do lead sheet question and answer. So in the lead sheet section, I teach the lead sheet. Then I stop and say, okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay. So I get that. So it gives you an opportunity to ask questions. And then a week after that, or in this case, it's going to be a week and like almost 2 weeks, Friday, the 26th, 26th of Friday, we're going to do a Q&A session. And then after that, I'm going to do a gems lesson. And then the gems lesson for Autumn Leaves is most likely going to spill into March. It'll probably be like March 2nd or something like that, right? So that's the structure. I release the music. You have a week to sit with it. The following week, I do the lesson live. You're welcome to join if you want. The only reason you join is if you want to be able to ask questions while I'm teaching the lesson. And then about a week or a week and a half after that, we do a dedicated Q&A session. So you get one of those every month for Standards by the Dozen. And then usually like a week after that, then we'll do the gem session, right? We keep going through this, month after month until we hit the end of the year. I am also bringing in the Confident Improviser as well, right? So within the Confident Improviser, we're taking a lot of those Confident Improviser exercises or ideas and starting to bring them into Standards by the Dozen. For my Confident Improviser students, I will be releasing TCI 16 shortly after we get off of this this live session. All right, so you'll be able to get that there. I'm going to be going through minor 2/5s, which is going to start to make sense since we're doing minor 2/5s and like Autumn Leaves, and we've done minor 2/5s in other standards. So now you start to learn how to improvise over those. Okay. Jim said, please let us know when you have decided on the Autumn Leaves key. Yeah, you know what? I'm almost positive I'm going to do both. I'm going to do the E minor and the G minor because I don't see any reason why we can't just modulate from the E minor into the G minor. It's going to make it a little bit longer, just to let you know, right? Obviously, we're going to have more music to do. But what would be nice is you'll get 2 keys. Now, I'm going to tell you, that's going to be challenging, especially for the rootless chords, right? Because now you're going to be doing the rootless chords in 2 keys. So just bear that in mind, that it might be a lot more work. What I will likely do, though, is I'll probably let you guys take an off-ramp in E minor, right? So I'll I'll show you, like, okay, if you just want to stick in E minor, you don't want to go up to G minor, fine. I don't blame you. So here, this is how you just finish that up. And then there you go, right? So then you don't have to do the G minor part. But we will be going through both of those keys because I think it's important. You get the real book key and then you get the real key that most people play it in, right? So it will be E minor and then going to G minor from there, okay? All right, guys. Thank you all very much for joining me. Hope you guys, thank you very much, Jose. I appreciate that. And thank you, everyone, for joining in, and I will see you guys next week. All right, so got a lot of stuff happening next week, so I'll see you next week. All right, take care, guys. Have a good one.